Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 27 of Zesty Thoughts with your host, Annábla. I hope that everyone has had a wonderful week. I have had a very eventful week. It's been super busy, but great nonetheless. I have lots of things to share today, like a full ass episode. So let's just jump right into it. First things first, I wrote a little Christmas song. I've always wanted to write a Christmas song. I guess it's going to be out next year because I literally just wrote it yesterday, and what I'm recording today is the 18th. So I wrote it on the 17th, and I'm like, it's a little late to record and put out considering I have a busy holiday filled week ahead, but I'm super excited to share it with y'all. It's super cute and just heartwarming. So maybe I'll post a video of it next week. But I'll release it next year because I've always wanted to put out an original Christmas song. I put out a remix of Last Christmas in 2020, but I've never really done any other Christmas stuff other than with my friends, a Heartbreak alumni. We put out a cover of Christmas Blues that was originally done by The Weeknd and Sabrina Claudio. It's a beautiful song. So we put that out this year. We released it, but I want to put out an original one that I wrote. So I'll put that out next year. It's a little late now. I wish I had written it earlier, but anyway, the inspiration struck. But I will post a video of it this week so y'all can hear it, and maybe I'll link it in next week's episode because I got a busy week. Anyway, on to the next. In the description below, I'll put the link for the song with Heartbreak alumni. We actually filmed a video this week for it, so I hope that y'all like that. I'll put the link in the description when it's out. It's not out yet, but when it is, I'll add the link in, and then I'll post it on IG and stuff, so y'all can enjoy that. Okay, what else did I do this week? I went with my mom, the K-Rock Almost Acoustic Christmas show at the Forum. And I have a few hot toddy takes kind of from that show. It was really good overall, just very long. It started at 5:30 and went till 11. I mean, we ended up leaving early, but long story short, we saw Sublime. We've seen Sublime a million times with Rome, and Rome's really good. So the original lead singer who has passed away, his son, Jacob Noel, is now singing and playing guitar for them. He's now the new frontman, which is super sweet. He's actually really good. He has really good energy. I think he could work maybe on his vocals a little bit. But he has such good energy, and it's perfect. So overall their set was really good musically, performance wise, but their engineer, sound engineer for the show is for sure getting reamed or fired because the sound was horrible. Before they even started, it was cool. So to preface, they had a rotating stage because there were so many bands playing, maybe 8 or 9 or 10 bands that they didn't have time to wait and take everyone's equipment off and put up a new backline and put up all the other amps and everything like that. So they just had a rotating stage that was split in half. So one band would be set up and playing, and there would be a curtain basically behind them, and then the other half of the circle, behind the curtain, the other band that would be going after them would be setting up and stuff. And then when they switched bands, they would pull up the curtain and rotate the stage, which was actually a super cool setup. But regardless, they pulled up the curtain, they spun the stage, and they announced, oh, Sublime, da da da, and immediately there was really, really bad feedback. It was oh God, in the Forum too, it just echoes, and it was really high pitched. That was horrible. And I've also seen them a million times, they've never had sound issues. So, at least when I've seen them, the bass was way, 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 way too loud. The keyboard and synth player was way, 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 way too loud immediately. And I made the mistake of forgetting my earplugs. Usually I bring earplugs to shows, and I have them in a little case. But I had transferred purses, and I was just in a rush when we were leaving, so I didn't bring them. And I was literally plugging my ears most of their set because it was so loud. It was deafening. It was painful. So that kind of sucked, but lead singer did well. So I would like to see them again, in a better venue or better, with better sound quality at least. But yeah. Oh, after they played, I forget the order, but I finally saw 311. That was super exciting. I've always wanted to see 311 live. I love their music. And like, was no one gonna tell me that the lead singer, Nick Hexum, is like a total DILF? Because I did not expect that at all. Like, I don't know if I just like never Googled what they looked like before and I've just like listened to their music blindly all these years. I mean, immediately I was like, oh, okay. But then, like, I'll be so honest, like, it's very, very obvious that, like, he's had a lot of work done. So his eyebrows were just, like, extremely arched. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, almost like villain arch. You feel me? Like Ursula. And it just got, like, progressively scarier as their set went on. I was like, oh, every time he'd come back on the screen, I'm like, wait, not that cute. But he sounded amazing. Not to like berate him about his looks, that's like kind of mean, but maybe it was just the wine that night. But no, they sounded amazing, like so good live. And yeah, like I want to see them again. Like that was such a really good show. All of like the visuals for the show and like the light design were like really good, so 10 out of 10. And then at the end of the night, it was Smashing Pumpkins, but like we had just seen them open for Green Day like a few months ago at SoFi Stadium, and that show was like remarkable. Also, no hate on the forum, but also like the sound quality at SoFi Stadium was way fucking better. And it's like a football field. I mean, granted, it's like brand new, like, you know, they probably have really good technology, they got all like the best stuff, but the forum also like renovated not too long ago, so I don't know. And I've seen a lot of shows at the forum, and like after having seen a live show at SoFi Stadium, I was like, oh, so like a large venue can sound good, you know? Because like part of me is just like, oh, it's such a big venue, like how do you make it like sound good quality? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of hard, I feel like, to make it actually sound good and clear without like killing your eardrums or making it sound like drowned out, I guess. But no, clearly it can be done. And even like SoFi is like, isn't it technically like open? It's like kind of partially outside, so maybe that's to their advantage, I don't know. But yeah, the sound in the forum, like I was like, oh, so they started Smashing Pumpkins and it was just like not, they sounded good, but just like the sound quality, I think that's just like my hot take of the night. The sound quality was really bad. And I don't know if it's just that show or like, I don't know, because I've seen other shows at the forum. Like I saw the Eagles recently, they were amazing, sound quality was good. Saw Bruno Mars there, Stevie Nicks there. So I don't know, maybe it's just the engineers for the night. Something was a little bit off. Another hot take with the forum is that the seats are like really uncomfortable if you have long legs. Like I'm sitting perfectly up straight, like legs at a 90-degree angle, and my knees are touching the seat in front of me. So maybe just like my like hip to knee ratio is like longer than other people, but I was like super uncomfortable. And obviously it was a long show, so like I just got like really fidgety, and there's no like cup holders, so, like that was also kind of annoying. I don't know, maybe it was just the section we were sitting in. Like maybe there are other sections that are better and more comfortable with more leg room and all that, but like I felt like I was like on a plane. Like I was like, this is like not fun. And like I was standing up for some of it, but not the whole time. So I don't know, maybe just like I don't know, I feel like I'm hating on the forum a lot, and I like that venue, so like maybe just like was a bad night and I had a bad experience. But the show overall was really good. I would definitely like go again. I just like they need to like hire better sound people. That's all I'm gonna say. But okay, so that was Saturday. What else did I do this week? Oh, I have some films to review. I don't know if this is like turning partially into like a film review podcast, because I feel like every episode I talk about like film and TV and like stuff I'm watching, but I just like watch a lot of TV and movies, so I feel like why not. Okay, so as far as like holiday films go, this week I watched only one, I guess. I watched Hot Frosty, and it was trash, obviously. I mean, it's just like a shitty like romantic comedy. like Christmas movie. And hot take, the Frosty was like not really that hot. I mean, maybe she's just like not my type. But I thought that was like very underwhelming. Like, no offense to the actor. He's like decently good looking, but like I was expecting someone more striking, if that makes sense. Acting was like subpar. So yeah, that was just like trash. If you want to watch a shitty, like kind of mid Christmas movie, then go for it. I watched two other films though that were insane. The first being Compliance. If you've not seen Compliance, it is like the film definition of rage bait. The entire freaking time I was watching this movie was like so irritated and annoyed, and I like kept saying, I was like, this is like pissing me off, like don't piss me off right now. It was so, I don't even want to say really what it's about. The thing that's most like mind boggling to me is that it's like based on a true story. And I didn't like realize that at the beginning, like I didn't know that going into it. And then I like Googled it, just like the movie, to look up the cast, and then like something said that it's like based on a true story, and there's like a documentary also, and I was like, what? I like don't even want to say anything. It's like kind of crime related, like well, it is a crime, it's about a crime, but it's like, I don't know, if you like want to like torture yourself with rage bait, just like an entire film of rage bait until like the last like 20 minutes, go watch Compliance. I think it's on Netflix too. It was like literally so infuriating, but really, really well done. But I just think the story behind it is like the most infuriating thing. It's like not like it was like portrayed in like the best way possible. Like it was okay, but oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, now I want to go watch the documentary, so I'm going to look that up. I also watched Carry On with Jason Bateman, who I adore. I've always been a fan of him. I loved Ozark. I like loved Arrested Development. Like basically everything he does, like I'm obsessed with. And y'all, I think this film like just came out too. And I forget the other actor's name, like the lead actor, but he was amazing. I'll put it in the edit here. It was so good. Like I have no words. This film was so kind of also like rage baity, like a little bit, but so like it just had me on the edge of my seat like the entire time. Was such a like unique and like interesting concept for a film. It's about kind of like terrorism, and like kind of like it takes place in like an airport in LAX basically. So like I don't want to give anything away, but it's literally insane. It's so interesting as like a story, and it's just very, very entertaining. So highly recommend that. I think that's like my number one for the week. Carry On. Compliance would be number 2. Frosty would be like -10. So there's that. Okay, a few things I'm thirsting for. To stay on the subject of like films, I saw Wicked finally, and I've literally been dying, like gnawing at the bars of my enclosure all week, waiting to talk about my opinion on Wicked. Because I have some like kind of hot takes. But Ariana Grande, literally, she impressed me so much. I've always been a fan of her. Like I've loved her music like her entire career. Just like nothing, like I have nothing bad to say about her really as an artist. I've always been a fan, and she just like exceeded my expectations. I went into this a little bit like nervous, like going into seeing the movie. I was kind of scared that I wasn't gonna like it, because I saw Wicked when I was very young, and it was just like such a like a pivotal part of like my love for like musical theater. And it was like, I don't know, for anyone that like experienced it at a young age when it came out, it's just like life-changing really. like it just like gives me the chills even now when I like listen to the soundtrack. Like I get the chills from it. It's just like a formative, you know, experience for me and like memory for me. So I was very, very nervous, considering like all the clips I was seeing online. They were like taken out of context, very like corny and like kind of irritating to me. And I was like, God, like this kind of looks bad. Like I'm scared, you know? But do not judge a book by its cover, because it was, in my opinion, it was so amazing. Being such a huge fan of Wicked and like The Wizard of Oz, it was just like so well done. That's not to say that there weren't like little flaws that kind of bugged me, but like No, it was so good. So Ariana Grande, like 10 out of 10. Like I can't say enough good about her performance. Like I loved it. Cynthia's eyes, I will say, I don't know if this is like a compliment. It's like kind of, maybe it's like a backhanded compliment, but maybe not. Her eyes were like so mesmerizing and like pretty that like I feel like I was getting kind of distracted by her eyes. Like I would be like so like, like taken back and like mesmerized by her eyes that like I feel like it would distract me from other stuff that was happening in the scene and like kind of take away from like her acting maybe, because like that's all I was looking at. Like I wasn't really looking at her facial expressions as a whole, and like, you know what I mean? Just because her eyes were so pretty. So like maybe that's, I don't know, it's a compliment obviously because she looked beautiful, but like I don't know, I was just like hypnotized, I feel like. And I feel like in a way for me it like took away from like me being able to like experience her overall as like a character. And then like Rocky and I were both like, dude, we feel like her voice is like too good and like too polished. Almost like to the extent that like that emotional kind of aspect is like missing. It's weird because Cynthia Erivo's like performances across the board are like known for being very emotional and like very like just like gut wrenching and like very well done. Like she's an amazing actress, especially with like Color Purple. Like look up clips of her performing songs from Color Purple and it's just like insanity. Like her performances are so good. So I feel like also because I had seen stuff of hers before, like coming from that context and like seeing her performance in Wicked, I don't know if it seemed like she was holding back or if there was like direction overall that was placed on her in the film that made it seem like that, or if it was just like the character of Elphaba. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely like, I think maybe like slightly a character thing that like her character in this is like a little bit more reserved emotionally, and a little bit more like serious, but I don't know. Like, I don't think it necessarily, like, maybe I'm just, like, analyzing Elphaba wrong. But I feel like I want Elphaba to be, like, I feel like I want Elphaba to be, like, a little bit more, have, like, a little bit more of, like, an emotional turn. At least, like, little bit of spoiler, I guess, if you've, like, never seen Wicked or you, like, don't know the story. Especially at the turning point when she realizes that, like, she can successfully cast spells and, like, has this power, and then she realizes that like the wizard is a fraud. I feel like there could have been a little bit more of like a turning point there. And I have like such like minuscule memories of like seeing the musical, and I was not sitting up close for the musical, but like sonically, like, and musically and vocally, when you listen to like, for example, like the original cast recording, it's a little bit like more like emotional, and I feel like maybe this is more of a flaw of like the direction and like the liberties that they took in making the film itself, because there was so much going on visually, and like there was just a lot happening scene wise. From that point on, it was very busy, that I feel like it almost took away from that like emotional like peak, until like the latter half of Defying Gravity. I also, maybe this is just like a gripe I have with like movie musicals, but like I didn't really like how they cut up some of the songs and like put a lot of stuff in the middle. So like maybe that's just like my preference, is like I'm so used to hearing the songs as like one piece, in their original form, that like hearing them with like dialogue and like other scenes in the middle is like kind of annoying. I don't know. I'm going on a lot of tangents here, but like overall, I'm just excited to see the second film, because I know that there's maybe a little bit more focus on like Elphaba in it. Not that there wasn't focus in the first half, but I do kind of feel like Ariana Grande like took a lot of like the spotlight and a lot of like the, I don't know. I just feel like, and this is like nothing to like Cynthia Erivo's like this is like not at her expense, me saying this. I almost feel like it's like the filmmakers and like the directors kind of like doing. Do you know what I mean? I don't necessarily think it's her. I don't know. I don't know if that makes more sense. Like, I feel like Glinda maybe had more screen time, and maybe that plays into it. But I just feel like Ariana Grande's, like, maybe her facial expressions were like a little bit more nuanced. Maybe that's like my bottom line, that her facial expressions were more nuanced and Cynthia Erivo's like were not. Like, the micro expressions were more emphasized with her acting, whereas like Ariana Grande, it was like a little bit more dramatic. But also, like, maybe that's like a trait of those characters, that like Elphaba is more reserved and like kind of like nervous and self-conscious. So like she expresses herself more through micro expressions, whereas like Glinda is like the opposite of that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Regardless, like, her voice is amazing. Like I said, almost like too good, too good for our own good. But it was really good overall. Ethan Slater was like a massive jump scare. I will say that every time he came on screen, I was like, SpongeBob. So that was a little bit weird. Interesting casting there. I saw the movie with Rocky and M, and like within maybe a half an hour of the film starting, the three of us were like, why do they keep smirking? Like, the smirking is getting to me. And like, maybe that's also another thing that like really took me out of it, was like oh God, I can't even replicate it. But if you see the film, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. And like, we got to the point where like the three of us were just like making fun of the smirking, and Rocky's like, dude, this could be a drinking game. Like, every time someone smirks, take a shot, and you'd be like shit-faced by the end of the film. So I don't know. I did love it overall. There were just like a lot of little things that I feel like were easy to kind of poke fun at. And maybe I was just being really hypercritical because I had very high expectations. It did meet my expectations despite those like little details that I'm like picking at, you know. I did really, really enjoy it. There were so many like nice, not Easter eggs, like, because, you know, I know the story and I know the context, but there were just so many like little things that were so heartwarming. I did get the chills like multiple times while people were singing, and it was just like really, really good overall. So like, I'm not trying to hate on it. I'm like being a little bit overly critical, but you get where I'm coming from. So overall, really good. But yeah, ever since I saw Wicked, I have been listening to the original Broadway cast recording, like on repeat. And I get chills like every time. No One Mourns the Wicked gives me chills. What else gives me the chills? Like Defying Gravity, The Wizard and I. Ugh, so good. Also, maybe that's like another hot take. I didn't really like the riffs that Cynthia or Ariana Grande like added. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like being too harsh and like comparing it to the original. And I understand they have to like make it their own. But like, some of those things like melodically just like didn't sit right with me. And I feel like I listened to the original recordings and I just listened to like the melody and the way that it's written. And like, as a songwriter, like sonically, the way things move melodically, it's like so satisfying, if that makes sense. And then to hear things like not like that, it's kind of like, ugh, like, oh no. And there were like a few that I did like, but overall, yeah. And I heard like rumors that like they were gonna try to make popular like hip hop, and Ariana Grande said no. And I'm just like, thank you so much, girl, because that would have been, we all know that would not have been well received. People would not have liked it. And it just like wouldn't have been authentic and like really a good, I just don't think it would have been a good move, to be honest. Overall, I appreciated their like performances, but there were like a few moments where I feel like those riffs kind of took me out of it. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like modern, you know, like it kind of like, do we have to make it modern? Like it's like good on its own. We don't have to like mess with it. Anyway, I have a lot of hot takes this episode about Wicked, and I'm willing to like take criticism and debate back and forth with people about this. Like, I'm willing to receive pushback on a lot of this because I know that I'm very opinionated. But yeah, I've literally been listening to the original Broadway cast recording nonstop. with the chills since it came out. I've also, this is unrelated to Wicked, but it's like musical themed. I, this is unrelated to Wicked, but it is like on the same like musical, kick. I've been listening to the Oliver soundtrack, the Oliver original Broadway cast recording. I was in Oliver when I was little and I'm obsessed with the music. So that is another thing that I've been listening to. It's been in my rotation like all week since I saw Wicked. Because I was like listening to the soundtrack and then it came up on my recommended on Apple Music. Anyway, long story short, I'm clearly on a musical theater kick and like a Christmas music kick because yeah, 'tis the season, y'all. All right, y'all, last thing to dive into this week. I have been thirsting for sushi bakes. I literally I'm eating fish again. So I decided to make a tuna sushi bake because I don't really like salmon. Maybe that's like kind of another hot take. Or maybe I've just like never had good quality like made salmon or like well seasoned salmon. If someone wants to try to like convince me on that and make me some salmon, that'd be great. But yeah, I'm just like don't really like the taste of salmon, I think. I'm still trying to like figure that out for myself. But I made a tuna sushi bake. And it was amazing. It was so good. I made like homemade sushi rice and then like tuna with mayo and sriracha, and then I put green onions. I have an avocado that's not ripe yet, but when it is, I'll have some avocado, and then I put some furikake and ate it with seaweed. It was delicious. But next time I make it, I'm gonna like open all the windows in the house because the entire house smelled like tuna, like so freaking bad. And I feel bad because like my mom does not like seafood. Like she's like anti-seafood. She hates it. So I feel kind of bad that like the whole house reeked of tuna last night. But my dad didn't mind and my cat definitely didn't mind. She was like freaking out when it came out of the oven. So I had to give her like a little tuna nibble without the sriracha and mayo on it, and she was very happy. She's like, okay, I paid the tuna tax, you feel me? But yeah, it was delicious. 10 out of 10. I love sushi bakes, and I want to maybe I'll try next time with like imitation crab. Actually I think that's like the typical way to make it is with imitation crab, but I have also seen recipes with salmon. But like I said, I'm not really sure I like salmon, so maybe next time I'll try imitation crab instead. Or like both. I don't know if that'd be good like with tuna. I don't have to figure it out. And maybe like cucumber also. I should have bought cucumber. That would have been a good call. But anyway, so yeah, 10 out of 10. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna wrap up this episode. I hope that you have an amazing Christmas if you celebrate, an amazing Hanukkah if you celebrate, whatever holidays you celebrate. I just hope that you have a nice wonderful holiday season. There will be one more episode out before the new year and before I release the new artwork for the pod. So I hope that y'all enjoy it when you see it and enjoy this week's episode. I will see you next week, and I hope that you have a wonderful week and a nice and fun and safe weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.